Hi, my name's Amy Blake and this is my first episode of Diary of a Survivor. I feel really excited to finally be doing this, but I'm also just so somber from today's events. So it's a bit of a surreal moment. I'm finally getting around to giving this everything that I want to, but equally my mood is just a little bit low level this evening because of what has happened, so I'll just dive straight in. So today I had a meeting with the head of police training for domestic abuse, and I shared my experience as a previous police officer, and then everything I experienced in the job from the age of 21 and for almost 7 years, and then going on to find myself in a relationship that was abusive, and everything along the way. I feel like I did experience so much, and I want to make a change with that. And 2 years down the line, so almost to the date, 2 years that I fled the address, almost to the date, 2 years and a month that I left the police force. So it's taken me a little while to get round to doing it, and that's because of healing and life and recovery. So I'm here now. I've had the meeting today, and it's still pending, but that was heavy. There's a 3-hour meeting in the end, and that just scratched the surface of everything that I experienced. And it was a heavy conversation. I cried. There was a bit of every single emotion in there, mainly sadness, a little bit of panic and anxiety, all that sort of stuff. But I did it, and I share that because I want to make a change, and I don't want that sort of stuff to continue happening. But it's a tough one. I see it every day in society. Everywhere you look, there is abuse and misogyny, sexism, harassment, and it's also reflected in the police. But you would have thought that's the one place that it shouldn't be, and it is. So that was a tough conversation to have, and that's just the starting point, hopefully. And then after that, I received a letter from the Crown Prosecution Service as to why they decided to terminate my case. So my ex-partner got charged with coercive control and behaviour, and then a court date got set. Everything was going ahead. And then when I was away on holiday, I got a text message to say that it had all been dropped. So since December, I've been going through the process of trying to understand that decision a little bit more. And what did I do? A victim right to review. So I wrote up a big document, sent it in, and I've been waiting for a response since then. And today I finally got it. So straight after that meeting earlier, I was then given a password to access this document, and I do actually want to read a little bit out. I feel like it will just, I think talking about it and being able to digest, if that's the right word, I don't even know at this point, my brain is frazzled. All I want to do is talk about it, but slowly and safely, because it was heavy. So I just need to find the email. Yeah, got it. So find the email, and then they sent that to me at 10 p.m. on a Friday. So they would have been, I say, closed over the weekend. Once I answered the security questions, they then send me the password to access the document, to read it. So it was a letter addressing all my points that I raised. And honestly, some of the bits in this letter shocked me. So I want to go down to the bit which I think was the toughest thing. And this has been my battle with the police force. So, excuse me whilst I read this. So I'll read it verbatim. You said in your correspondence that you provided letters from him to you and recordings of you and him made towards the end of your relationship to the police, which supported the case. You have indicated that, and also as you've had counselling, there'll be extensive notes. So where are we? In relation to the recordings that the police also accepted, that these were not sent nor referred to the Crown Prosecution Service. They have stated that this was an error, that these recordings were not reviewed by them, and they have now been deleted and are not available. Without hearing the recordings, I am unable to say whether or not they would have supported the case. This is a matter which you may wish to raise with the police directly. I think that was one of the toughest things to read in this document that they sent me, detailing all the reasons why they thought my ex-partner was not abusive, controlling, nor coercive, and all of the other things that I had said he was. I fought tooth and nail with the police service to do a little bit more. I was not rude and I was professional, but I did keep contact and ask questions. Are you going to do this? Has this been done? Please, can you explain to me, as you have not done that, the reasons why? I just want to understand. That's my healing process. Being an ex-police officer, I'm aware that certain things have to happen in an investigation, and I wanted to know why they weren't being done. And in that relationship, I felt like I was risking my life to take recordings of the abuse. That could have gone awfully wrong for me. But I was in that house all on my own, isolated up in this area where I had nobody, thinking this is going to be one word against the other. So I used my just this this well of police knowledge that I had accrued over the years of being in the job. Right, well, what can I do safely whilst I am getting together my plan to leave and reaching out to people and coming up with like my safety plan of escaping this address, because that is the most dangerous time to leave. I thought, what can I do in the meantime? So I started keeping a diary and I started taking recordings when it was bad. And that was so tough. I cannot put into words how much anxiety it caused me to know that upstairs in the bedroom, or in one of the rooms, was a diary that I had, a paper diary of notes in a diary form of all the things that he had done to me and started to do to me. And that diary was my process of realisation of, oh my God, he's done this. Oh my God, he's done this. And as I'm sat in that house all on my own whilst he's at work, I'm writing things down. And more comes out. And then I got it up to date and I started keeping an up-to-date log as things happened as well. For example, I think he's going to kill me. I am in fear. I was so scared of him. And then I started making recordings too, cross-referencing it. They said in this letter that the diary was not kept at the time of the abuse, even though I wrote a date on it. But it was written in like after the matters had happened, after I'd left, they said, which is untrue. And to hear that the police had issues with my recordings and deleted them and did not send them through. So the CPS, the way that this letter is written, and I think I will go into it more at a later stage, but reading essentially that they did not believe me, that he has said that he didn't behave that way, therefore it didn't happen, that they've read through the WhatsApp messages that I provided, and they do not support a coercive relationship. They've said to me those messages look loving and supportive and do not back up now what I am alleging is to have happened. They have written a letter in such a way that it makes me sound like I'm disgruntled at the fact that this relationship didn't work out, and I am now reporting abuse. And one of my fears at the time was that this relationship all came to a head when I discovered that he was cheating on me. And he was probing me, something's wrong, tell me what's wrong. So I had slowly let out that I had seen some messages between him and another woman. And his response to that was what woke me up. And his just absolute blatant lie, and he turned it round on me. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I thought, I can't stay in a relationship where somebody has cheated on me. I did not want to be in that. And it was his response and then his behaviour after. And I honestly, I was so scared for my life at that point. It was terrifying. And then that was where this atmosphere just like increased, and everything was scary. It was, the feeling of that was horrific. So, yeah, for them to say that those messages between us seem loving, I pointed out in my victims' rights review that anybody reading those messages and understanding the temperament of somebody that is a narcissist and a manipulator and coercive, and having been provided my evidence and my statement, would understand that someone, an abusive person, can send you a message, and it's up to you to decipher what mood they're in and read between the lines and what behaviour goes with that message. So the abusive person might say, I love you, but it's everything else that surrounds the before and after and the behaviour around that message. Something like that could have sent me into this huge anxiety spiral, and it did, because I knew what mood he was in and I knew the consequences of what that would be. And I think the courts in this instant have been incredibly ignorant to the fact that there is so much unsaid with the behaviour of an abusive person. But anyway, my fear in reporting, well, actually it got reported on my behalf, I think, but my fear in that, I guess at that time, was me saying to them, I've just found out he's cheated and I didn't like his response. That is what has caused me to take a step back from the relationship and see that he is displaying behaviours that aren't very nice. I didn't disclose everything at that point because I knew safety planning and doing my own risk assessments in my head and me being up there all on my own, that it wasn't a safe time to delve into that, because I needed to take myself out safely when the time was right. But my fear was, they're probably going to think that I'm reporting this because I found out he's cheated and I'm a disgruntled ex-partner or a disgruntled partner. And I thought that because I've been in the police and I've heard how people talk. I've heard how officers talk about relationships and put in their views and spins on certain situations and justify abusive behaviour. So I was fearful of that. And if I'm going to read between the lines and put two and two together, this letter is saying those messages sound nice. If I can find the extract of this message. The WhatsApp messaging between you both shows what appears to be a relationship in which you both profess love and support for each other throughout, until it eventually broke down. There are considerable discrepancies, therefore, between what you and he says has happened. When there are contradictory accounts, the court can only favour one side over the other if there is evidence tending to support one version rather than the other. There is no evidence in this case. I do believe that the courts have reviewed what evidence they were provided and believe that I'm just a disgruntled ex-partner and have completely dismissed coercive and controlling behaviour, rape, sexual offences, strangulation, threats to kill, assaults. And I am so incredibly disappointed in the police that they deleted my evidence. Deleted recordings of him being abusive that would have supported my case. And I question, do they work hand in hand? If the barrister or the prosecution were to review my case, did they question the police? Where are these recordings? There's mention of them a lot. Where are they? In my statement, I reference these recordings. I think I even gave them exhibit numbers. But they were deleted. Obviously, the police didn't tell me that. So it's fresh information today that I'm still processing. And I think this digital diary is just helping me, process it, come to terms with it a little bit more, talk about it. And I share it because I don't want anyone else. I share it because I don't want anyone else to feel alone in their struggles. I know how incredibly isolating it is. I haven't actually been able to talk to anybody about this yet. So recording it now, this is the first time I'm openly discussing it and how it's made me feel. And I know for anybody else going through it, like, I understand how isolating it is, how tough it is. So I sit and I make this, feels like moody and somber, like diary entry log. Yeah, I thought maybe my first one, it might be positive and upbeat, but you just can't odds life. It is what it is. So to put a positivity spin on it, I found that out. I took myself out for a walk. I got a bit of sunshine. I've done some things, cleaned my car, got into washing it. I had all this energy built up inside me, and you don't lose energy. I got angry, then I got sad, I got tearful. But I just had to work that energy out my body through physical exercise. So I was cleaning my car. And now this evening, I've got a candle lit. I'm going to read a book, maybe play some games. Like, I'm just going to take care of myself and do some nice things for me. I have lots of tools now to deal with this. How much more? Honestly, like, you just can't disappoint me anymore, because how I've been let down throughout this whole process. Like, the tools and resilience I've built up, like, I asked for strength. I remember a few years ago asking for confidence and strength. And I have been put in so many situations now where I have had to be strong. Honestly, I feel like I've been, if I'm going to visualise it, up on this pedestal completely on my own, like it's rickety and it's shaking. I'm having to balance on one foot and there's a mob below me trying to lynch me and shout nasty stuff at me, and it's windy and I'm blowing everywhere. But I managed to hang on. That's the visualisation of like what it feels like. I don't really know how that shows strength, but that's what it feels like. So, yeah. But I am a survivor. And this is a closing of a chapter. And I will talk about this and I will process it, and eventually I will box it off. And I want to share this story to help other people and to just open up the conversations about it. Like, what the hell are they playing at? That's what I want to talk about. I want to make a change. And I am part of a panel, and we are making changes slowly but surely. So I'm positive. Like, I will turn this crappy little thing into something that shines eventually. But in the interim, I'm breathing, I'm getting that energy out of my body. I was angry and I had to do something physical to move it around and get it out, put it somewhere else. And now I'm calm and I'm sleepy, and I'm just gonna read and have a nice slow evening. And I actually feel good having got on here and filmed this and spoken about it. And I hope that it makes it to YouTube. Yeah, because I feel proud. I feel good having spoken about it. Anyway, yeah, so I take steps. I look after myself, and I know what I need. I now need rest, so I'm going to get a nice long sleep. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go to the gym, because that is where I find a lot of strength. And then I'm just going to keep pouring positive energy into myself. And that's how I turn these really tough situations into something better. And that has taken me 2 years to learn this. It's been a long process, and I've had a lot of support. I've had counselling. I'm on a panel at the moment and get support from our coordinator. Tomorrow I'm having a call with Isva, an independent sexual violence advocate. I've been to courses and classes and all to do with mental health and learning, and just so many different things that I will advocate for, because they have been life-saving. And really, it's not about how strong you are. It's about, like, do you have the right tools and do you have the knowledge to be able to deal with these sort of things? And I think that's what makes you strong. You aren't just a strong person. You learn the tools to deal with these things to then become strong. And that's what it's all about. Going in the right areas to get support, to get the skills. And I never had that before, surprisingly. You know, I was in the police for 7 years. I had so many other skills. Didn't have this. Didn't want it. No. It is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. But thank you for listening to my first podcast of Daria Survivor. Yeah, I hope it helps. I hope to help one person. and I hope to do this again. Sit and talk and share. I don't want to spread positivity. I just want to share it and inspire. And it's yours to do what you will with it.